What's going on, Daybreak, and welcome back to another Daybreak reaction, reveal, whatever on earth you want to say. I do want to point out, I did not realize that yesterday's episode was 42 minutes long. That's how long I rambled for. Granted, we watched multiple videos because I missed a day, but, still, that's a very, very long video, and I think I over-rambled, so I'll try to keep it at a bare minimum. Today's reveal, 3 of the strongest cards ever are coming. So, just looking at the thumbnail for the video, there were 3 of what I assume are 3 more of the Lith cards. For anyone who does not know what the Lith cards are, we have 3 of them currently. They came out in Frostfall: Lava Lith, Morolith, and Verdolith. This seems to be... they're basically 2-cost Elestrals that can be normal cast normally, just like with 2 spirits, if a certain condition is met. And then typically on cast they do something. We currently have Fire, Frost, and Earth. From the thumbnail, it looks like we're getting Solar, Water, and Thunder in this one, which is kind of weird because we still don't have wind, but we'll see. Let's see.
I'm sure all my Elestrals casters out there know Lava Lith, Verdolith, and Morolith.
This is true.
2-drop Elestrals that came in Frostfall and changed the metagame, and now it is time to reveal 3.
Okay, well, let's be fair. Lava Lith is really the only card that changed the metagame. Nobody is playing Morolith. Nobody is playing Verdolith. So let's just keep that in mind.
New Lith Elestrals for 3 different elements as we count down 25 days until Daybreak pre-orders open on July 12th.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm not
Let's
gonna
see.
lie,
What we
this
got?
is one of my favorite Nexus form lines. Johnny the Elite hit this one out of the park. Kicking things off today, we've got Heliolith, a brand new 2-cost solar
5/5.
attack and
All right,
5
let's
defense.
see.
This thing is a monster, man. This Heliolith can be normal cast with 2 solar spirits if an artifact is enchanted.
Okay, that's
so
pretty
if you
easy.
or your opponent has an artifact, you can just cast out your Heliolith.
That is certainly very easy to do going forward. So artifacts, maybe. Let's see. We'll see. That is very easy to do.
When you cast this Heliolith, you can return an Elestral on the field to its owner's hand. That means you can bounce your opponent's Elestrals back to their hand. This thing is crazy good.
Pretty good, yeah.
For Heliolith to pop off. Combine this with cards like Argo, with cards like Cybermal and Golden Fleece, Poison Tunic. Lots of possibilities here for Heliolith when...
That is certainly true. There's a lot to consider with this. Maybe artifacts are not going to be very good, and if you try to base your deck around artifacts, you obviously will play this card. But this card being good is all determinative of whether or not artifacts end up being good in Daybreak. This card could be very good if artifacts end up seeing play. It could be very bad if artifacts don't end up seeing play. That being said, it is so much easier in Daybreak to get artifacts into your side of the field. You obviously have Argo, which can just put it on your field just straight from your deck. And then on cast, it bounces an Elestral. Not bad. Realistically, my one concern with this card is that it's a 5/5. Stats are a little lower than I would like for a 2-drop. I would have preferred at least one of those stats to be a 6, either a 6/4 or a 4/6. Because obviously we have Lava Lith and Morolith are both 6/4s. Verdolith is a 3/7. So the Liths, they all have stats that equal 10. This just so happens to be a 5/5. I would have preferred one of those to be a 6. But that being said, it's a decent effect. It's not like a super amazing effect, especially since mostly 1-cost Elestrals are being played still. But if your opponent does have a 2 or 3 drop that you can bounce to their hand, not terrible in the slightest. So this will see play if artifacts see play. That's basically all I'm going to say with that one.
Daybreak drops. If you're not excited about this card, man, I don't know. This card is really strong. Up next,
depends.
We've got
It
the
depends.
Beautiful Coastalith, a brand
Coastalith,
new
2/8.
That can be normal.
Okay.
Your opponent has at least 2 Elestrals in defense position. Now this might be a little lackluster, but if you remember,
no, that's not hard at all. In water, you have Tsunami, obviously. Like that is not hard at all. Also, I'm seeing right there on the card art there is a Stellar Veritaqua. I think that's Stellar Veritaqua. Maybe I'm going crazy. And I think is that Stellar Cerebral? We don't have a Stellar Cerebral. As much as it probably is just normal Cerebral. I have not really looked at Cerebral in a while, but all right, yeah. Let's see what it actually does.
Really cool things with Tsunami to change position, and there's some more cards that haven't been revealed yet.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Okay.
When you cast Coastal Lith, you can special cast a 1-spirit water Elestral from your hand. So this thing can swarm the field incredibly fast. You play your Coastal Lith, and then you can play your Veritaqua to take advantage of those defense Elestrals. Or you can play your Galaxy.
Yeah, no, this is not. It's not amazing.
You can play a Foamy or a Mustache or whatever you want to play, Dratagua, and you have.
It's not a super amazing card, is what I'm going to say. But this is something Water will definitely play. Water will play this. The reason I don't think it's going to see play is because, well, at least now. Maybe, obviously, I'm thinking in terms of if this card existed in Frostfall, would it change the metagame? And I would say no. Just because simply nobody's playing Water. Like, Water, I think, is probably the new Fire of Frostfall. In comparison to like Fire from base set, where Fire was essentially unplayable in base set. Water, with the exception of like Lakagon, but even then, Lakagon didn't even top the last tournament. And it's only that version of any Water deck that's seen any remote amount of success. But this is a card that Water will appreciate. There's a lot of cards that you can cast from this. I mean, he mentioned obviously some of the really good ones. Veritaqua, it's guaranteed when you cast this guy with its effect, there will be at least one card in defense position. So you can just go this guy Veritaqua to just deal with it. You can cast Coastal Lith and then just go Galaxy to put it up to an 8 attacker, as he said. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do with this, and maybe some additional cards down the line that can actually help you out in the long run. It's going to be good in Water. I just don't think it's going to change Water to the point where it's going to be immediately meta playable.
Some really, really awesome power there with Coastal Lith. You got to play a little defensive to get there, but that's something that Water doesn't mind doing already.
That is true.
Can actually make a splash in Daybreak. And last
we'll see.
Least, it's time to reveal Arcolith.
Also, that was such a dad joke. He is a dad, so it makes sense, but that's gonna make a splash. Like, come on, man. Arcolith, 6'4". All right, let's see.
That can be normal cast if an opponent has at least 2 Elestrals in attack position.
That is so easy. That is so easy. Most decks are just putting their guys in attack position anyway.
That means if they're on the offensive and they're ahead, Arcolith can rain Thunder down onto the field and do some massive damage, because when you cast it, you can enchant up to 3 Thunder Spirits from your underworld to your field. So you get to throw down Arcolith, and then you get to just swarm your field with Thunder Spirits and push forward against your opponents to attack Elestrals. Arcolith is actually nuts. Even if you just ascend into Arcolith.
That is really true.
I'm very excited for these.
So, is this a card that Thunder would want? I'm trying to sort of think. I feel like it's not necessary, but at the same time, one of the potential downsides to Thunder Nexus right now is that it's not guaranteed that you're ever going to have enough spirits on board to use for Nexus plays. This just gives you a boatload of spirits that you can use for Nexuses. So it is interesting, and depending on what your opponent's 2 attack position Elestrals are, this thing comes out at 6 attack. If you have Mount Olympus out, you can just you can attach those 3 Thunder Spirits to this card. It becomes an 11 attacker. It has its potential to be a decent beater in Thunder Nexus, but I don't really think that's what Thunder Nexus wants. I feel like Thunder Nexus, they more so just want they don't really care, I feel like, about getting a beater. I feel like most of the time Thunder Nexus just cares they care, I feel like, mostly just about getting more cards to control the field. So I don't think that I think this will probably, though, despite everything I just said, I do feel like this will be played in Thunder Nexus, because they're already playing Mount Olympus because they have to for Race to the Top. And this just allows you to get so much advantage, even when your opponent might be able to deal with all your crap. It allows so much spirit advantage to your field. So I feel like this will actually be played in Thunder Nexus. Assuming Thunder Nexus is even playable next format. We'll see.
Thunder are going to be able to unlock with Arcolith added to the game as we continue to add new opportunities to come back in the game and come back stronger. I think Arcolith is going to do just that, and this is really fun for us because we talk about getting those 2 and 3 cost Elestrals to the field.
Another thing to note, actually, he's talking about so this card enchants 3 Thunders from your Underworld to your field, and on the Art of Arcolith, there's a Boom Bat. Now, I don't think anyone's going to do this, because Boom Bat has seen no play, and it probably won't see play, especially because you're going to need to normal cast your Boom Bat and your Arcolith for this play, so you're going to have one of them survive for a turn. But if you have a Boom Bat on your side of the field, and you don't want to disenchant from it, you can cast Arcolith, put 3 additional spirits onto the Boom Bat, and just do that 3 times. Granted, it's a once per turn, but still, like that actually isn't too bad if I'm being entirely honest.
I think these Liths like Arcolith, Heliolith, and Coastalith do that in an incredible way. Let me know which one you guys are most excited to.
So we have all 3 of them on the screen right now, so let's talk about them. So they're all cool, I will say. They all do something that I feel like they all do something that their respective element kind of wants to do. The only one that might not be true is Arcolith. Arcolith, I feel like for Thunder, you don't necessarily need that effect in Thunder, but you don't mind that effect in Thunder. That's an effect you'll take if you get it, yeah, but you just don't really need it. However, Solar and Water love this effect. This is a fantastic card for Water in Coastalith. Heliolith, I do think Heliolith is good. I think it's good for Solar specifically. But that's a lot to take into account with all of these cards. For especially Heliolith, we need to see more of Daybreak in order to get a good idea. I might try to make a Solar deck. Because these cards are now all on the Elestrals website. There is a Daybreak section on there now. So, well, they might not be updated yet for these 3 cards specifically, but they should be up to date for yesterday's reveal, which was the Celestlio. I might try to make a Solar deck with this. I might try to take a Thunder Nexus deck and put Arcolith in it and just see how it works. Try to make a Water deck, put Coastalith in it and see how it works. And make a Solar deck, put Heliolith in it, see how it works. I might actually just try testing around with these cards because we now kind of can. We kind of can now, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I think these cards all has potential. I really like these Liths. They're just 2 drops that you can normal cast if a certain condition is met, and it seems like we're getting 1 for every single element. We're obviously only missing Wind and Lunar, which obviously we don't have Lunar because no Lunar cards are being released until set 4. So that obviously will not be coming out until set 4. I'm a little shocked though. We're not getting Wind. A little shocked by that. Wind is the only element that does not have a Lith. That's released, I should say, because obviously Lunar. But I really like these cards. I just like the idea of being able to normal cast a big guy if a certain condition is met. And that helps out a lot in a lot of these deaths. Like, what the frick? I said deaths. No, decks. I don't know why. It's fine. But there is a decent bit to consider. I feel like the issue with stuff like Verdolith and Morolith, why those aren't really seeing play, there are 2 reasons. Their effects are not super amazing in comparison to what you're actually trying to go for. Their effects are just not really amazing. But also, despite their effects not being super amazing, the conditions that you need to get them out can be somewhat weird. And a lot of the times, like for example, Vertolith, your opponent has to have 4 more spirits in their spirit deck than you do. For Morolith, you have to have 5 more Elestrals, I think. 5 more cards in your Underworld than your opponent. Or 5 more Elestrals. I forget, to be entirely honest, which one of those it is. Which is not the super easiest thing to set up. Yes, we do have access to Avalanche, but currently there aren't really any Frost cards that care about having themselves in the graveyard, or Underworld, sorry. So I don't really see how that's super helpful. Obviously, Lavalith is insane. It's the same casting condition as resting on your laurels. Your opponent has to have 2 more spirits, and then you pop a rune. That's really good, and it's splashable in basically any deck. There are a ton of decks that aren't fire that are playing Lavalith. These cards have the potential to be the exact same thing. Obviously, Heliolith just says an artifact has to be enchanted. If your opponent is playing Solar and you're not, this could be a decent side deck option, because so far Solar seems to really want Golden Fleece. So that probably is something that they're actually going to try to go with. Arcolith just requires 2 Elestrals in attack position. That is very easy to accomplish. Any deck can play Arcolith. The only downside is that its effect requires you to play Thunder. Coastalith, 2 Elestrals in defense position. Basically, every deck in the world is playing Tsunami, so even if you want, you can basically just tech this card in, and it's totally fine. But again, its effect requires you to play Water Elestrals that are in your hand. Out of all of these, I think Heliolith is probably the one that will see the most. It's the most splashable. That's without a question. Because Arcolith and Coastalith, you kind of need to be in their respective elements. Heliolith, you do not need to be. Heliolith can be a 1. You could just have 3 copies of Heliolith and like 2 Solar Spirits in your spirit deck, and you can just play this as long as an artifact is enchanted. Cast it, return Elestral on field to hand. So I think Heliolith is going to try to be like the next Lavalith, but I don't think that Arcolith and Coastalith are going to take the world by storm, is mostly what I'm trying to say. But in their respective elements, I think they probably will see play. It just depends on how much that respective element actually does see play. That being said, that's going to do it for this video, guys. I really hope you enjoy. If you did, make sure you slap the like button and subscribe for more. Hope to see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.